Alright guys, welcome back. Yesterday I made a video talking about why the pricing in Master Duel is insane. By the way, we are watching the finals of the Master Duel Challenger Cup Titan Edition, obviously on Joshua Schmidt's channel. I just have this in the background here because today I want to talk about these tournaments, the Challenger Cup tournaments, and explain to you why they are totally crazy and why they are super unbalanced. So I spoke a lot of good things when it comes to the Master Duel side of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, but there are also things in this game that are just totally crazy and hopefully need to change. And I'm very interested in your opinion. Maybe you have also watched the Titan Cup finals. We can see the opponent of Anestis going with blue eyes here in the finals. Crazy, by the way. And Anestis going for an effect Vader, but this is not the important part. So what you need to understand with these Challenger Cups and also with this Titan edition, and this is not true for every Master Duel tournament. There are different Master Duel tournaments with different rules, but what you can do here and what you could also do here, we are playing a best of 3 format, and at any point you can change your entire deck. You don't have a side deck, you don't need to bring 15 cards to the game. You can change your deck at any point and you can change everything. You can also keep your deck and change as many cards as you want. And it is at this point, in my opinion, where this Master Duel competitive side is honestly a bit strange. We didn't have this at the World Championship. This was definitely something good for the World Championship, but we have this at these Challenger Cup events, which are the biggest, probably the biggest tournaments that you can play right now in Master Duel. I can definitely recommend, but it's also a bit strange, and hopefully Konami changes this, and I'm very interested in what your opinion on this is, because, and this is especially bad in this Tenpai format, you have the problem that you do not really know what to side. And this is not only a question of which cards do I side with, which specific cards, but also what deck do I use. So let's say, for example, your opponent goes Tenpai Dragon on the first match and he lets you go first and then kills you. So now you can decide whether you want to go first or you want to go second. But the question is, you can't really rely on the fact that your opponent played Tenpai Dragon. He could also switch, right? Because he can change the entire deck. And you can also let him go first, or you can go second if you want to, or you can go first, depending on what you want to do. And if you have not played Tenpai before, for example, in the first game, let's say your opponent played Tenpai, you are playing Blue Eyes, like in this variant here, then you could also change to Tenpai if you wanted to and let your opponent go first, for example. And the problem is that you can't really predict what your opponent is doing. It brings a big luck element into the game that I think hurts the game in the sense of being competitive, right? Of being a skill-based game. Because it is way more skill-based to have 15 cards on the side deck like it is normally in TCG and the OCG, because I guess they also have best of 1 tournaments, but it's also in Master Duel in a few tournaments, but in the big ones it normally isn't. It's way more skilled because you need to think about, okay, what is the meta like, what are the best decks in the meta, and which specific cards could I use against the best meta decks. But in this kind of a situation that we have right here, by the way, we are loading new because sometimes the connection breaks. In this kind of situation, we have the problem that we just don't know what our opponent will play. So we can't really side deck, but we can't also not really side deck. So we can't use side deck cards, but it's also very hard to decide which deck we even want to play, because our opponent could also play a totally different deck. And once again, I think this is being made worse by the fact that we have Tenpai in the game. Obviously, if we did not have a very good going second deck, this problem would not be that bad. By the way, guys, we have a new Discord channel that you can go check out. The link is in the description below. You can join there. But you can see right here, opponent was playing the Tenpai Dragon strategy, and obviously we are in a bad position here when it comes to the low room, the opponent that the Tenpai Dragon player is playing against. And this is really a problem, and I hope they will fix this soon in the future, because this definitely makes the game way less fun than it could normally be. And I don't really understand why we are not doing it like this. We have this format in the TCG with the side deck, and we bring the best of 3 format here, which is definitely nice. And it also would not be a big problem just to have everyone send in a deck list with a side deck before the tournament. I guess the problem is that you can't really control whether people are really playing this. I guess this might be the one problem. But then again, you also have the replays, the replay function. So you open a duel room in which you duel with your opponent. And then you can use your replays. You can watch the replays and you can say, here was a card that's being played that's not in the deck list that was uploaded. So I guess you could circumvent this problem by using this this solution. But yeah, so I'm a big fan of these Master Duel tournaments, as I just said. If you have not watched the video, go check that out, especially because of the pricings. But I'm not the biggest fan on how we are using this, because I had this situation yesterday where my opponent was playing a burn deck and I wasn't even sure what do I even side against this burn deck, what cards are even good. But then on top of this, I couldn't even be safe or sure that my opponent would even use this burn deck in the second game. So not even did I know what I should side against this, I also didn't really know whether my opponent would even play this. So this is a big problem. You can see right here that the finals, the low room player is now losing to Anesthesis, the Tenpai Dragon player, and we will see the situation in the second game. So the Tenpai Dragon player, Anesthesis, here wins at this point. It takes a moment. We can quickly write this through, and then we are going into the second game, and there you can see what I'm talking about. So we are entering the second game, and now the opponent could decide, so low room in this case could decide whether he wants to go first or he wants to go second. And Anestis, because he was thinking, okay, I lost the game, so probably I will go second. He sends him first, so Anestis took the Temper Dragon strategy because he thought he would go second. But turns out that a low room also chose once again to play Tenpai. Oh no, he was on blue as before, but he chose to play Tenpai. So you can see right here, it's totally confusing. You can't really, and the other problem is that you also can't really decide whether you should play cards like Solemn Strike or Solemn Judgment, cards that are good going first, or board breakers that are good going second. I think this definitely forces the players to play more hand traps, because hand traps you can use going first or going second. And we can see this right here with Anestis, which is playing the Sky Striker package, which is more of a heavy spell board breaker package. But he has a problem now that he plays probably less hand traps, but he's going first. So let's say in his hand there would be 4 hand traps instead of 4 board breakers. Then it wouldn't even be that bad going first, because he could just pass over and then use the hand traps to stop the opponent. But now his power spells are super weak. In the end, funnily enough, he wins this game, so it doesn't really matter at this point. But I guess you can see right here what I am talking about. This is totally random, and random is never something that's really good for a game. We also have randomness in the form of the draw. We don't have a mulligan, so this introduces unnecessary randomness to the game, unfortunately. And hopefully they will fix this. They will change this system up so it can be more competitive. And as we are seeing right here, we are playing the Temper against Temper strategy. And I'm very interested in knowing what you think of this. Have you ever, you can let me know in the comments, played in a Master Duel Challenger Cup tournament or in a tournament in general? I know that different tournaments handle this differently. If you play the Decay tournament, for example, you need to submit a deck list, and then you can't even change the deck list, so there isn't even a side deck until the top cut, basically, which I also think is not the best option to do it. I think it would be way better. I think it's super nice that Decade basically says, okay, upload a deck list, and then you have to keep this deck list. But this once again takes skill away. So just upload a deck list with a side deck that you can then use. I mean, you can use the replay function if a player is unsure whether the opponent really has only used side deck cards that he basically showed in his deck list. I think this would be a good solution to this problem. But you can let me know what you think of this. Have you ever experienced this? What is your opinion? Let me know in the comments. By the way, if you like my videos, please consider subscribing, hitting a thumbs up and the notification bell. This would help me out a lot. And guys, we will see each other in the next one.